Before his death in 2018 at age 82, Burt Reynolds hooked up with a staggering number of women over the course of his life. Although Burt was only married twice and only had one child, the Hollywood legend got busy with a great number of his female peers. From Lori Nelson to Kate Edelman Johnson, join Facts First as we take a look at every woman Burt Reynolds dated or hooked up with. Lori Nelson. One of the first women Burt Reynolds was known to have hooked up with was Lori Nelson. It was even rumored Burt was engaged to Lori very early on in his career. Lori was known for her performance in the 1955 horror movie Revenge of the Creature, which garnered her the reputation of being an early scream queen. She became involved with Burt around 1960. Though they were together for a few years, nothing much came of the relationship. Inger Stevens. Another notable figure Burt Reynolds was romantically linked to early on in his career was Swedish actress Inger Stevens. Burt had starred alongside the actress in the picture Run, Simon, Run. During filming, Burt and Inger struck up a real-life romance that sadly ended in tragedy when Inger died of a drug overdose in 1970. Burt Reynolds ended up being the last lover Inger took in her life, though the late actor never talked much about his romance to the late Swedish actress. Mamie Van Doren. A third notable actress Burt Reynolds was romantically linked to during the early years of his career was sex symbol Mamie Van Doren. Although Burt and Mamie weren't involved for long, their romance has become notorious thanks to a snide remark that Mamie made about Burt later on in life. According to Mamie, Burt was about as substantive as a fast food meal. Faye Dunaway. Burt Reynolds was also reportedly linked up with Faye Dunaway for a short period of time early on. Doris Day. Doris is yet another actress from Hollywood's golden age that Burt Reynolds apparently hooked up with. Judy Carne. Despite hooking up with an incredible number of women throughout his lifetime, Burt Reynolds was only married twice during his 82 years. The first woman he married was a British actress named Judy Carne. Judy is most well known to the public for her time on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, on which she became famous thanks to her catchphrase, "Sock it to me." Burt and Judy tied the knot in 1963, though they only remained married until 65. Following the divorce, Burt slowly rose to become one of the most prominent leading men in Hollywood over the course of the 70s. Sarah Miles. Burt was reported to have dated actress Sarah Miles for a short period of time in 1972. The two met while filming the movie The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing. Catherine Deneuve. Besides Sarah Miles, there are numerous other co-stars Burt Reynolds was rumored to have had notable romantic flings with during the early years of his Hollywood stardom. Another actress he allegedly hooked up with during production of one of his earlier starring vehicles was Catherine Deneuve. Catherine had appeared alongside Burt in the 1975 film Hustle. Lorna Luft. From 1974 to 75, it appeared Burt was romantically involved with actress Lorna Luft. Lorna is perhaps better known to the public as one of the daughters of Judy Garland, which also means she's Liza Minnelli's sister. Miko Mayama. Miko Mayama and Burt Reynolds appeared together in the 1969 film Impasse, and they went on to have an on-again, off-again relationship that saw the two figures living together for a period of time. Miko is a Japanese actress, and Burt was allegedly living with her at the time he became romantically involved with Dinah Shore. Dinah Shore. Dinah had been one of the most popular recording artists of the 1940s, but had become better known as a talk show host by the 70s. Burt met her during an appearance on her program. Dinah was 2 decades Burt's senior, but that didn't stop the two from becoming romantically involved. Burt became so madly in love with Dinah he wanted to marry her, but Dinah refused. She'd been married twice previously and had 2 children. They ended up separating after dating for 4 years. After Dinah passed away in 1994, Reynolds visited her grave every February until his own death in 2018. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already, and stick around for more of the loves of Burt Reynolds. Adrienne Barbeau. Adrienne Barbeau is yet another co-star Burt Reynolds was romantically involved with for a time. Burt met Adrienne while the two were filming the movie The Cannonball Run together. Cannonball Run was released in 1981, and Adrienne had risen to prominence during the prior decade thanks to her time performing the character Rizzo in the original Broadway production of Grease. Chris Evert. Not all the famous women Burt Reynolds dated in his life were actresses. For the entire duration of 1977, Burt was romantically involved with female tennis player Chris Evert. Tammy Wynette. Tammy Wynette is another figure outside the acting sphere that Burt was involved with during the late 70s. Burt and Tammy initially kept their relationship a secret, but the public later found out. Sally Field. In the mid-70s, Burt landed himself the role that would go on to make him a bigger star than ever before. That was the role of Smokey in the film Smokey and the Bandit. Featuring alongside Burt in the film was actress Sally Field. Like Burt had done so many times before, he started up a romance with his female co-star on set. But his romance with Sally ended up being a bit more important to him than his other flings. Although Burt and Sally only dated from 1977 to 81, Burt went to his deathbed claiming Sally had been the love of his life. These feelings don't seem to have been reciprocated entirely by Sally herself, as she didn't even attend the late actor's funeral. The two never tied the knot together nor had any children. Tawny Little. Soon after breaking up with Sally Field in 1981, Burt could be seen dating Tawny Little that same year. Tawny was a beauty queen known for having won the Miss America pageant in the mid-70s. Loni Anderson. After a little over 2 decades of dating since his first divorce in the 1960s, Burt finally decided to tie the knot for a second and final time towards the end of the 80s. He first started dating second wife Loni Anderson in 1982, though they didn't officially marry until 88. Loni was a TV actress best known to the public for her time on the series WKRP in Cincinnati. Reynolds had always maintained a strong desire to have children, and it was with second wife Loni Anderson that the actor's wish came true. The two went on to adopt a child named Quentin Anderson Reynolds. Sadly, Burt and Loni ended up divorcing in 1994, and Burt never remarried. But that doesn't mean Burt ended up dying alone. Kate Edelman Johnson. One of the last people Burt was known to have been romantically involved with was a film producer named Kate Edelman Johnson. Burt and Kate reportedly started up a relationship in 2003, and that relationship lasted for several years before finally dissolving. Kate's father was Golden Age Hollywood producer Louis F. Edelman, and much of Kate's work nowadays is managing the rights of her father's old TV shows and films. Burt was reportedly fairly distraught by his breakup with Kate, and the relationship ended up being the actor's last public romantic escapade before his death in 2018. Now it's time to hear from you. Which one of these women was most surprising to hear about? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts Verse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.